Peace and blessings to everybody out there. Welcome back to the Fake Woke Podcast. This is your boy Bobby VILN. I'm back with another video. Dr. Aruna Khilanani, I think I butchered her last name. Are white people psychopaths? Most of y'all probably don't know who this gentleman is, but Mark Hill, he was a reporter for CNN, got fired from CNN, he either went and started another black news network or some shit like that, or he got hired on to be an anchor for a black news network. Some shit like 60 Minutes or whatever. It gives me that 60 Minutes vibe. I really don't care for Mark Hill. Some of the shit that he says is questionable at best. He do got some decent interviews for the most part. Good for content creating, like I'm doing right now. Good topics for content creating. And he interviewed Dr. Aruna Khilanani about white people being psychopaths as a whole and individually, due to the fact that they deal with either, she was trying to say they deal with subconscious psychopathic thoughts of some sort, or just like unconscious racism and all types of shit. I highly recommend you go and watch that interview. It was pretty entertaining, I should say. For us, I should say the least. Definitely entertaining. I want to go back and go watch it again, because she gave me Dr. Frances Cress Welsing vibes. If you don't know who Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is, she was a child psychiatrist, and she dealt with the topic of quote-unquote white supremacy and so forth and so on, dealing with symbolism and everything like that. The ISIS Papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is a very good read, and I highly recommend people to read it. I read that book like 4 times, and I'm itching to read it again, to be honest. She touched on a lot of topics that I personally feel like are very, 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 very important and prevalent today, that still not being addressed. But anyway, so we gonna tackle this topic: are white people psychopaths? Again, Dr. Aruna Khilanani, she deals with I forgot what she studied, what she practices. Psychiatry. She practices psychiatry. She held a speech at Yale, talking on psychoanalysis of the white mind and so forth and so on, calling white people psychopaths in the whole and individually, because they don't realize that how they approach certain things is racist, this, that, and the third, how the way they think is racist, this, that, and the third. And here's my take on her speech. Now, when she tackled it from a historic point of view, I totally agree. And you could chalk this up as critical race theory too. You could chalk this shit up as critical race theory. And you can legit say that the white man, the white woman are psychopaths when it comes to a historical standpoint. You could definitely say that, because how they whitewashed history, how the education system was set up to whitewash history, and to a certain extent it gets undone once you get to the collegiate level. But then there's certain things that are taboo to speak about. Like the black man and the black woman actually being aborigines to North America, to the Americas in general. Like that's taboo to speak on. They don't want nobody to really talk about that, how the black man and woman are actually aborigines to these lands, because there's no treaties, there's no bills that actually strip us from this land. So technically they would have to give back the land that they so-called discovered to the aborigines. The only thing is, though, the black mind has been colonized to the point to where we think that we're Africans. I know. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The black mind has been colonized to the point to think that we're Africans. To think that we came from a faraway place, which is not the case. Which is not the case at all. You have to remember, when it comes to the North Americas, I keep saying this, you can look this shit up yourself. Only 5% of the slaves were African in North America. The rest went to South America, okay, and to the Caribbean. The rest went to South America and the Caribbean. The transatlantic slave trade actually happened in reverse. This has been documented. Columbus took aborigines back with him to Spain. Cristobal Colon took aborigines back to Spain with him. Okay? You can go look this shit up. I am not lying about this. This is historical fact. Secondly, he did not land in the Americas. Okay? He did not land in the Americas. He landed in Hispaniola, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Okay? That's where he landed. He landed in the Caribbean. But besides that, I agree with her on a historical standpoint, because they sat there, they made it seem like, first of all, Cristobal Colon discovered America, which he did not. He landed in Hispaniola. Secondly, they whitewashed the shit to make it seem like that they came here, they were helping the natives, this, that, and the third. No, they wiped them out. They wiped them out. They sat there and they told you that they discovered America, but in all actuality, they conquered this land and wiped out the aborigines. And not when they didn't wipe them out when it came to violence. They wiped them out with the pen, like I just told you. The aborigines are still here. They just under the impression that they come from a faraway land. That's fact. It was a paper genocide as opposed to a physical genocide. It was a genocide of the mind. It was a colonization of the mind. And she's absolutely right when it comes to that. When it comes to the aspect of historical standpoints, yes, I totally agree. Now, she sat there and she said there's no good apples, all this other shit. That's where I kind of draw the line. Not here to cape for quote unquote white people. Not here to sit there and convince you that white people aren't bad. What I'm here to say is that we have to use our own judgment. We have to understand that the system that we all partake in as of right now was sculpted for very few individuals, and that's the elitists, I would say. Because how the system was set up, it was set up to be a free market system. But the thing is, though, it was just like, you can only get to a certain point, because the elitists was playing mind tricks on everybody, including their own. You know, it was playing Jedi mind tricks on every fucking body. So it's not just a quote unquote white man's world or a white woman's world. It's the elitists. They bamboozled them motherfuckers too. You know. That's just my take on it. You know, a lot of people feel like there's systematic oppression and this, that, and the third, and to a certain degree, I do agree with that. But to be able to fully teach quote unquote critical race theory and this standpoint of white people being psychopaths, One, you have to do that on your own. Like I've said before, you have to do that in the comfort of your own home. You have to talk to your kids in a neutral environment in order for you to be able to get that shit across. Secondly, you got to know what you're talking about. So that means you got to go, you got to do the readings yourself, you got to do the studying yourself. And not a lot of people want to do that. They want to leave it up to the education system to teach their children about something that they're not going to full on teach properly, I should say. They're not going to teach that shit properly. They're not going to teach the full-on truth when it comes to so-called critical race theory and the psychopathic white mind and all this other shit. They're not going to teach you that shit properly. Because again, it's coming from the exact same system that you feel like is oppressing you, this, that, and third, and whatnot. Like, it's not going to come out properly. Because again, there's certain things that they don't want you to, they don't want you to know. There's a lot of shit that they don't want you to know. There's a lot of shit that they want to keep covered up. And that's why I am completely opposed to critical race theory and this type of shit actually being taught in the schools. I'm completely opposed to it. Because it's like, and then on top of that, not only that, it teaches victimization, in my opinion. It teaches a certain diaspora of people to have that victim mindset, and that's not always the case. Because again, like, there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people of so-called color, and I hate using that term because, how can I say it? The white man is good with racism. They know how to trick that. They know how to repackage that shit and present that shit to you to think that you're being progressive in your speech, when in all actuality you just regressing and going back and calling yourselves or labeling yourselves the exact same shit that you found or your ancestors found offensive back then, like people of color calling yourself niggas, this, that, and the third. The white man's good with that racism. They know how to repackage that shit and present it to you with a bow on it, and you niggas just go along with it and feel like you're progressive, you know? But again, like I said before, I hate the fact that I'm addressing this shit again because it falls up under this category of critical race theory. But yeah, it should be taught. It should be taught at home. If you're gonna teach it at home. Understand what you want your kids to understand about America. Okay, teach that shit at home. Don't rely on this. Don't outsource your education to your oppressor, because that's exactly what black people want to do, and that's exactly what black people are trying to do. You're trying to outsource your children's education to your oppressor. Why would you even do that? Why would you want your enemy to educate your children? You feel me? Why would you want your enemy to educate your children? That's all I have to say about that. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, and share my videos, please and thank you. I truly appreciate the love and support that I do receive. The only way to break the algorithm is to spam the like button and spam the share button. That's the only way to break the algorithm. Besides that, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of them is on my ass. So they on my ass, they blocking all my shit. So that's all I have to say about that. But thank you again for tapping into the Fake Woke Podcast. I'm out.